evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular meeting of the Bay City ISD School Board of Trustees. It is Monday, February 7th at 6 p.m. We are in the H. James Callister Administration Building. Before we open our meeting and do the pledge, I ask everyone to stand and join me in prayer, please. Heavenly gracious Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We thank you for this awesome, amazing day. What beautiful weather you blessed us with. God, I ask that you bless everyone here this evening, our school, our children, our teachers, our administrators, and this board, and God, as we make decisions that affect all of our children. God, I ask that you be with everyone in this room and the health of those that couldn't be here as well. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Welcome to the meeting, and Trustee Westmoreland will lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, this meeting's been called to order, and we have 6 trustees present, so we can certify that there is a quorum in attendance tonight. We'll do item, let's do item 4 first. Let's take this out of order just a little bit so we can get our celebrations and maybe make a little bit of room. So Grant, did I throw you for a loop or?
No, sir, not at all.
All right. Item 4, celebration of excellence. Our Representative Grant McGallagher, our Chief Communications Officer.
Good evening, everybody. Outside. This is, kind of the most fun part of the board meeting. I'm taking President's hard lines here, but we really enjoy recognizing kids that have exceeded both athletically and academically. And today we have some really great academic achievement students to recognize from Cherry Elementary and from Bay City Junior High. We're going to start with Bay City Junior High. If that's okay. I'm going to ask Principal Cummings to help me out. I'm going to recognize this kid. Tell me, what have these kids done?
Okay, actually gonna, maybe if I can get her down here with me, I have this Christy Solis, she's our. And also for Wilson and also Mr. Charles, and our great. Great, they're all very students. Actually, these students are all pass the reading and writing portion of the CSI assessment as 8th graders. So they are eligible for the early college courses, and then when they complete math part as well too. As 8th graders, they can take college courses. So I'm extremely proud to have 12 kiddos today that have done this so far. And I know we're going to have more between now and the end of the year, but I'm really honored to be able to recognize these 12 individuals tonight. So we are going to start off with Ms. Jasmine Glenn. Right on that part. Okay, all together. Miranda Mendoza. Juanita Muniz. Araceli Padron. Mika Finney. We also have Salami Chandler, but she was not able to be here, so in accepting the award on her behalf is her father, Mr. Chandler. We also have Cruz Chavez. Ryan Friesenhahn. Kiana Cook, and she is not here with us tonight, but we did want to make sure that she is honored tonight as well. And also Valeria Rubio. And then we've got one more. Mr. Sergio Rodriguez.
together. And the board would like to join for the month. We're gonna make 2 rows, so y'all stand up front a little bit. Come on, hop in. Oh, yeah, sprinkle hot here. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, there you go, everybody. There you are. We recognize our little kiddos and Sherry out there. Thanks.
Yeah.
What are we skipping?
We are super excited. I just want to say how much Boys and Girls are doing a fantastic job in this big meeting space with all of these big kids. The joyful noise in here is really, really comforting for us here. So thank you for doing such a wonderful job. They're celebrating some of our training packs today for the hard work that they are doing on their spatial temporal maps. So basically, this is some these activities that they're doing on their own in their classrooms. It's completely self-paced. They go through a series of quests that they have to figure out. There are 24 of them in 3K, and they have finished them all already. And they are working on kindergarten readiness skills or transitional kindergarten skills already. So I'm really excited for the progress that they are doing, and really excited for the momentum that they're going to keep taking along doing. So we're excited to celebrate them and go to the next topic. So first we have Ms. Adeline Haig. Next we have Sawyer Brown. Noah Law. And we have Brooke Laner.
Get down. Oh, yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Grant said that is our absolute favorite part of every board meeting. And did not steal it from me because I'm sure I stole it from someone else. Okay, audience with patrons. So I have 3 signed up. I have Ernest, Jerry, and Kim. Anybody else signed up? I didn't get your sheet. Okay, so at school board meetings, the audience is able to engage and address the board before acting on any agenda items. At our regular board meeting, which is this board meeting, you can discuss any topic you want, even if it's not on the agenda. At special board meetings, the discussion is limited to the items on the agenda. And so everything tonight, I think, was either on the agenda or not, so it didn't matter. If you have a complaint about a specific individual in the district, we ask that you be careful naming individuals, as there is a complaint process. And if you bring too much information before the board ahead of time, you might interfere with the process or review for that. So other than that, it'll be 3 minutes. I'll time it. I'll just give you a soft general reminder of 1 minute. Go long. Gary, you want to go first? Jeremy.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. And for the record, my name is Jerry Manning. A couple of items that I want to discuss this afternoon. The first one, that young fella Sawyer, James, you need to go visit his bar. He got you on the haircut. Dr. Scott, that other little fella, he got you on the neck.
His bar.
Yeah, he don't need a bar. So, but on a serious note, I'm here today to really congratulate the board and congratulate Dr. Scott on some of the achievements that you all have made. Hasn't gone unnoticed. One is you're not made it through the pandemic without having to close schools. And we all know what we as a nation and what the world has been going through. And basically, it's been the school district, led by Dr. Scott and his principals, teachers, staff, all the way up to and including the custodial staff, bus drivers, a whole lot. We were safe, we were effective, we were efficient. Not as much drama has been going on all around us. And I believe that you all need to be applauded for those efforts. You can do that. The other thing I want to recognize publicly is our technology upgrades throughout the district. I mean, heck, look at the boardroom, cameras everywhere. If you miss it, you catch it on YouTube. If you go visit any of the campuses, we're top shelf, they sit. We're shining bright spot, not only in our county, but state Texas. And so we want to applaud you all for what you're doing in technology throughout the district. Another deal that I have been noticing, and I have to be honest, right? See Dr. Scott at just about every function that we have out in the community. He's there, he's visible. And not only that, I see some school board members are present. Some, I don't know you. Let's get out, get with the ones that's going and get out and get involved in the whole community, not just part of the community. But you're making great strides in that area, so you need to be applauded for what you're doing, staying involved in community events. About 30 seconds. About 30 seconds left. Okay, good work relationship with employees, that has improved. Inclusion and diversity throughout the district has improved. We want to continue to keep doing that. And also we've expanded educational opportunities for all students. And you all know that's been my battle cry for some years. We have some students that are not performing well with other students. And the goal is to raise the floor at the same time, raise the ceiling, helping those rising stars as well as those shining stars at the same time. So continue to do that, continue to do a great work. Dr. Scott, I hope to see you around a long time. Your board members, thank you for what you're doing to support the district. And that is my little speech. Thank you.
Okay, Kimberly Lewis. Look how you doing. Very good. Same thing, I'll give a soft reminder in a minute, 30 seconds.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Lewis. I am born and raised here in Bay City, Texas. Graduated from Bay City High School as well. On tonight, I have a couple concerns. One concern being, I am in school myself to become a teacher. I'm 6 hours away. So I have a double-sided mind of, I see where teacher comes from, I see where concerned parent comes from. My main thing is, how can we bridge the gap? I I understand a teacher is not a magician, but as a teacher, we are nurturers. We must learn to meet individuals where they are. I cannot blame a student for not knowing something. I can't blame a student for not being taught something. So empathy, it can go a long way, because just like we as adults deal with life stressors, so do students. I'll take myself for example. In the past 4 months, my daughter and my nieces, we buried 3 family members. Death is one thing that children have a hard time coping with. So if they come to school one day and they're just not feeling it, let's just tap in to see what is going on with it. Not only that, this is for my teachers, not all teachers, but some. We have to be mindful how we address the students. For example, if this is the student and I say, why are you late? I can't get mad when that student gives me the same attitude back. I can't. Just over the years, even with my daughter and my nieces, with some comments that have been made in class, a teacher addressed the class and said, I'm glad my son didn't grow up to be a bunch of thugs like you all. My child's not a thug. She lives in a 2-parent household. Both parents work. So being a thug or being ghetto, she didn't know what that meant. With one of my nieces, she has allergies. She sneezed and the teacher said, you in my class snorting like a pig. She already battled self-esteem issues, so what do you think students did? Called her pig. For the teacher to say, well, I didn't mean it like that. So that's just trying to be mindful on how we address our students. I know I only have a few minutes left, but to jumpstart onto with the Lee Roberts original building. For some of you who didn't go there, it may not mean nothing, but to me it means a lot, and I'm gonna tell you why. My grandmother taught in this district 32 years. She taught 17 of them. She was the first secretary of Lee Roberts. She was also the first Black, not to be funny, but also that and the first elementary counselor for Bay City ISD. I went there, mother went there, just about everybody on this side was in Lee Roberts. So it holds a special place for us. There are some programs we would like to implement in that building, because again, I can't expect a parent to teach everything. Parents have to work, grandparents have to work. I would like to offer resume writing classes. So that's my time.
Finish your thought.
Okay.
Yeah, finish your thought.
Resume writing classes, interview readiness classes, teach them how do I dress, how do I speak, how do I see. Because again, when our young people go out to corporate America, they get laughed at. We're gonna be honest, they get laughed at because they don't know. Credit building classes, budgeting classes, those are things I wish I had when I graduated. College readiness classes, when I went off to college, I was like lost. I didn't know that it was departments within the college, or I had to meet with an advisor just to make sure, just to get our children up to par. I'm not just saying the children in South Bend, but any child in Bay City. I just want our children up to par. Culinary classes, just basic skills on how to fill out a job application, how to address an envelope, how to fill out a check. I work at Morton County Junior College, and it breaks my heart when I see graduated seniors come in, or even adults that don't know how to fill out an application. I don't judge them, I just meet them where they are. So we can get these programs going, it'll get our children farther in life than they are. Even CNA classes. My sister, she's a nurse, some other nurses in here who are willing to say, you know what, I'll teach. Just so if they want to go into the nursing field, we'll give them a little insight as to what is to go on. And that's just a few. Tutoring as well. I have a dance program here that has been established since 2014. And if you don't mind me sharing, through this program, I have had 5 young ladies graduate high school, 3 graduate college, 1 a nurse, 1 a degree in biology. She just school had to be a pharmacist. 1 with a business degree. 1 decided to go straight into the workforce. 1 got a scholarship off to college, but she got injured and she just never went back. But through my program, I offer tutoring, just exposure, life skills, and I don't charge for it. So that Lee Roberts would be a great help in just offering different programs for the children.
Thank you for your comment. Hey, Ernest Austin.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? I want to first start off by saying that I'm representing a corporation. Here, the name of it is Bay City and Down Lake Multicultural Community Development Corporation. And what we set out to do is try to do something that's going to make a better quality of life for the people here in Bay City. First and foremost, according to statistics, only 20% of kids graduating out of high schools, college material, or go to college. That means we have 80% of our kids walking around here stagnant. A lot of them, like she said, can't fill out an application, do a resume, nor have any work ethics. So college is not for everybody, what I'm saying is this. So what I'm trying to do is implement a college, a trade school program that will give these kids, and not just the kids, anybody that want to make a difference in their lives, to try to make a change, instead of being stagnant, they have a something that they can look forward to in doing a trade. I'm multi-skilled. I do all different kinds. I know the importance of trades. I make money handling fish because I know about trades, and trades makes money. Also, what I feel like when these kids are getting released from school, it's kind of like throwing them in an ocean without a life jacket and hoping that they swim. So a trade will give them the life jacket they need, at least float and do something with their lives. I think it's very important that we get a trade school here. And what I'm looking at, Lenny Roberts, that's what I'm looking at. Lenny Roberts, since what I've heard, they're going to donate or tear it down. So I feel that Lenny Roberts would be an ideal place. I've been working on this for going on 5 years, trying to get trade school. The college had got wind of it and asked about this, but from what we come to an understanding is that the college will be too small for what we're trying to do. The trades we're looking in the electrical, plumbing, air conditioning, refrigeration, welding, mechanics, and carpentry. And I had a meeting with the mayor last week, and he's already got colleges that's ready to come in and help with the curriculum and do what needs to be done to bring this about. I think that Bay City would profit so much from this. I had told the same thing to a guy about 3 years ago, and he said, "Ernest, guess what?" I said, "What?" He said, "I have a trade school, and you would not believe the impact that it made on the community." I said, "I can only imagine." But that's just neither here nor there. What I'm saying is that if we need something to give these kids some type of incentive to do something with their lives. I see too much of it going on, and I see so much, and a lot of them have hopes, dreams, desires, and needs, and a lot of them have kids. This is a survival technique, and a lot of them go out there trying to sell drugs, and then association brings about a simulation. They become drug addicts, and a lot of these kids are shot down, killed, and all this drugs and stuff. I feel that a trade school would help them to get the proper help that they need around here. And instead of running the streets wondering what they're going to do with their life, they have an option to get into a trade, to do something that's be more effective, to give them a better and a more positive way of living. I think that's would be really
Better direction.
Thank you all for your comments this evening. Okay, item 5, items of business. 5A, report on the 2022-2023 budget components. Great. How you doing this evening, Mr. Jones? Great, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
this is gonna be an overview of the budget going forward for 2022, what the components and what the budget for school district in the state of Texas are proposed of. So there are three components as far as the revenue side for school districts in Texas. There's local sources of funds, primarily property taxes. And also the intermediate sources, which would be athletics, for example, athletics facility rental and chapter 313 agreements with industry that comes into our district. State program revenue, which is based upon M&O state aid from the foundation and available school fund, which is amount of money the district receives from the Texas Education Agency. And included in those state program revenue is allotments for bilingual, special education, compensatory education, career and technology, early education, career and military readiness, dyslexia, small and mid-sized allotment, and also transportation allotment. And there's also a few federal program dollars that come into the local revenue, which are school health and related services, otherwise known as SHARS, and also Medicaid administrative claim, which we call MAC. But the basis of the state program revenue is based upon your average daily attendance in the schools and also your special populations. And then the expenditure budget is adopted by the Board of Trustees by function, and the functions are different categories set up by TA. For example, a few of them are, these are all the functions that we use to adopt the budget. Instructional resource media, which is like libraries, for example, curriculum and instructional staff, instructional development, school administration, guidance, health service, transportation, co-curricular activities, plant maintenance operations, security, and also debt service and general administration. In addition, at the time when the board adopts local budget, we also adopt a food service budget at the same time. And then the different categories of expenditures for major classes and expenditures for the expense side, of which, just out of interest of our budget in 2021 past year, we've spent 51.2% on instruction and 22.4% on operations, which includes electricity, utilities, and also insurance costs. And then our administrative costs are 3.2%, for example. And then the expenses by object code, which means it's that we categorize expenses, the expenditure budget in different areas. So salaries and benefits, the total budget, 77.1% is budgeted and spent on salaries. And contract services, including like legal, utilities, costs, software, service center costs, 9.8%. Supply and materials are just 5.8%. Student employee travel, and which also includes insurance, board and election, not expenses of 3.9%. And then non-bonded debt, which is debt that's not that we owe that business supported by bond, is 2.9%. And capital expenditure 0.5%, which totals 100%. And then for your information, our interest in seeking debt service, which is our bond payments, are paid 2 times a year on February 15th or August 15th. We pay principal and interest on our debt service. So this is just want to start the budget process and thinking in that direction, and let everybody know how kind of I did the same thing last year, but it's good to get the conversation started. So, does anybody have any questions? Well, if not, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
For the salaries and benefits at 77%, is there a rate that CA likes you to get?
Not particularly, but actually the way it works out is that really over the state and all the training and everything I've had, it runs anywhere from like 75% to 80% is the kind of the, what's always said about every district. So ours is 77. Most people are between that range, 75 and 80. And that's just, but as far as they do not give us a percentage to get. Right. So, but they all, for almost all, for all school districts, it runs 75 to 80%. Yes. Thank you all.
Okay, I'm waiting on the text to see if our term is available now. So we're gonna take item D really quick. Consent agenda. 1, approval of minutes of the previous meetings. A, regular board meeting from January 18th, 2022. B, special board meeting from January 24th, 2022. 2, employment of personnel. 3, resignations. 4, approval of the 2022-2023 academic calendar. 5, professional development waiver 2022-2023. 6, authorize the superintendent or designate to notify the commissioner of education of the school board's intent to vote on the adoption of the proposed district of innovation plan. And approval of December financial reports. Is there any item that any trustee would like to remove from the consent agenda for separate consideration? Hearing none, is there a motion? Motion's been made by trustee Robinson to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second to her motion? Motion's been seconded by trustee Westmoreland. Any further discussion? Any item any trustee wants to remove? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. The motion passes 6-0. Sounds like she wants me to push back. So we'll go and is the Boys and Girls Club ready? Okay. We'll take item 5C. Receive and consider report concerning Boys and Girls Club and take possible action in response to the same.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Hatter. I'm the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club in the Greater Houston region. It's important to note that there are several representatives here from the Boys and Girls Club this evening. I want to acknowledge them so that after this presentation is over, after the board meeting is over, please feel free to ask questions of these individuals. So we have from Boys and Girls Club of America, we have the Grimes, St. Peter, you guys will raise your hands. Jan Peter from who's the chair of Boys and Girls Club of Bay City and Matagorda County, and all other board members here. Please raise your hands up for all the folks who are here. A lot of folks are here tonight. Sit back here. So make sure you speak to us after the presentation. Right now, I'd like to have Cindy Campbell, who's the Vice President of Program Services for our organization, share with you a brief presentation about our organization, what we do, a new delivery model that we're making available around the country, and we're suggesting that considered here. So, Cindy, take it over.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Chairman, trustees, Dr. Scott, thank you for giving us time today or this evening to share with you about the shared space model. And I think it falls right in line with some of the public comment we heard this evening as we talk about those of us the impact that it can have in the Bay City community. Okay, so just to let everyone know about who we are, Boys and Girls Club, as Kevin mentioned, we are a national organization with chapters throughout the country in different states, cities, and places. We represent Greater Houston, but there's a local organization here at Bay City and Matagorda County Boys from our mission, we inspire to enable all young people, especially those who need us the most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens. This is similar to what we just heard from the public comment in terms of having young people have opportunities to thrive and be wonderful adults that are able to give back to the community and reach their full potential. I would also like to just add, also like to add that within Boys and Girls Club, we have a framework that we work under that has 3 core pillar areas. And so what you see here is academic success, healthy lifestyles, character, and leadership. This is very much in alignment with what schools do. We see ourselves as a complement. We provide evidence-based programs that support high-yield learning activities for our students and or members that we call them. Our programs are rooted in social justice, youth development, and social emotional learning, and it gives a very strength-based philosophy around cultural responsiveness, hope, and healing and restoration. We work through logic models and a theory impact that is prioritized around these pillars. So as you see academic success, you would see things such as tutoring, homework help, opportunities for young people to advance, get the additional assistance they need to complement what's happening in the day school program. Under healthy lifestyles, this is about healthy choices. Not only would we feed young people during the after school program, whether that's through snack or through supper, but also helping them make healthy decisions as we battle the obesity rates, as we talk about healthy choices as it comes against risky behaviors, right? Helping young people make really good decisions that will help them through their life. Character and leadership. This is, helping young people to be the best person that they can be and be valued citizens in their community. So understanding how to do community service, do service learning back in their communities, showcase their own resilience and things that they have to overcome, help others, whether that's through mentorship, whether that is through any program that they would want to share out and be a part of in their school and or their community. Alongside this, as been mentioned through the public comment, is we do have a strong emphasis on workforce readiness. So helping young people have opportunity not only for the college pathway, but also that career pathway. So how can they get skills and even dollars in their pockets as they are still teenagers? We serve within Boys and Girls Club the K-12 population. What you will see within a club environment is a safe and inclusive environment where we are looking and seeking to show young people that they do belong. It is a refuge for them to be a young person, but also to be able to build those skills, build their own capacity. You'll see high quality programs and activities that strengthen, and allow their new experiences. We look for opportunities to give them things, experience opportunities that they otherwise would not get. Whether that be, as mentioned with the workforce readiness, getting a job internship, or it may be a field trip out to the zoo or to Space Center Houston, things that maybe they would not usually get. And then, we look for just, again, an opportunity for young people to find their space to lead, or that their voice is heard and it matters. We see, again, this as a huge compliment to what the school day does, where we are very much aligned and cohesive with the school program. So this evening, we would like to present to you what we call the shared space model, which is a school-based shared space model in which the club exists right on the school campus. This is essentially, which we know as in the community now, a freestanding club. This would be co-located on the school sites where there's minimal transition for the kids to go to their actual after-school program. So once that bell rings, they're able to be walked over into those spaces to be able to program right on site. We do at least a 15-hour program, and most times it is a few more hours than that in a week, but that is a Monday through Friday program. As we mentioned, it is a strong alignment between the club and the school site. Alignment to who's here on that day. So around attendance, around behavior, around needs, all of those things where Boys and Girls Club is having high levels of communication with the school administration to ensure that needs are met for those students and families. In terms of relationship with the district,
we enter into a memorandum of understanding where we really outline what comes with the partnership, what that looks like, what it feels like, what our expectations, what its communication look like. We also outline data sharing, because just as the school is very much purposeful about how the students are performing, so is Boys and Girls Club. So we want to see alignment for that. So if we are tutoring kids, we want to know from what have we done, is it complementing and is it helping them when they take steps. And as mentioned, we're rooted in a restorative discipline. So wanting to make sure young people understand that they have chances, there is another chance, but we do maintain same rules, same rules. And we know this is very important for school administrators, right? So we have high expectations for young people that they still maintain all of what they should be doing the day when move over into the after school periods. That's awesome. And then lastly, one of the wonderful and unique things about Boys and Girls Club is that the burden of the cost of this is not placed on the family or the student. So what you will find in costs, Boys and Girls Club, is that it's low cost of free membership for the students. For this model that I'm outlining, when we look at direct service costs, it is about $250,000 annually. What that covers is an after-school and a summer program, serving 120 youth daily, Monday through Friday. And so when I say daily, looking just as the school does, I'm looking at an average daily attendance of young people that are in the program. It provides another full-time person on that school site. We know our schools love additional people on site to help and mentor young people. That is a full-time club director that's on location, as well as part-time staff members that maintain a ratio of 1:20. These are high-quality staff that receive ongoing professional development, in-youth development, and also school curriculum tools and whatnot. Yes, sir.
Is that cost tailored to our district, or is that per campus, or is that?
That is a per campus, per club site cost. And then of course, including program supplies and curriculum. We align with all the methodology and the pedagogy of the school. And so if that is tutoring programs or something that is being used for the school day that needs to move into the after school, this is a part of that as well. So as we look at Bay City ISD, we understand that the district has conducted a survey, and I think that survey is around 165 families that were surveyed. About 89% of them, they're not current Boys and Girls Club members, so they're not attending the current Bay City Boys and Girls Club at this time. But acknowledge that 72% would send their children if it's co-located on a school campus. So this is some really great data that lets us know that if provided the need, if provided that we would have a good number of young people and families that would utilize the campus and the club. Our current Bay City and Matagorda County Boys and Girls Club, in past years, we provided 2019 because of course of the pandemic, but you can see from here that in past years, 500 registered members, about 9% of that teens, so the majority that the club has been serving in the past has been the K-5 population.
That's registered members served, but like your 88 out of that 500 be. So I guess you have some that have signed up and probably don't go that much, or they don't go at all. Or, so out of the 500 here, what was the 88?
Yeah, I think that probably 190. Yeah, so a pretty good attendance based on the number of events. So here is the proposal that we are putting forth for consideration this evening. And I'll walk through each of these. So the first one, to establish Boys and Girls Club sites on school campuses to be operational in the fall of 22. And we have looked at city homes and also Roberts Elementary for consideration. This would be in partnership and a cost share between both the Boys and Girls Club and Bay City ISD for those direct service operations that were described. And then I think what's just really key and important is to really establish a task force to assist with establishing the clubs. So really looking at the finances, the numbers, the operations, and logistics, and what then that means for the families between recruitment and family engagement.
$250,000 annually.
Yes, ma'am.
Including 2 campuses.
Per campus.
Per campus.
This is a shared partnership.
Yes, right, yes. So we tried to provide a concise presentation this evening, so I do it by my colleagues Janet, Kevin, I know Cliff is here, myself, to answer any further questions you may have.
I said that before we had 190 students out of the 500, and we did a survey. 80% of those said that they would go when they weren't current. So going on the low end, say it was 200 students. The 250,000 per campus is for an estimated 120 students. So that 250 would be more like 500 per campus.
No, 250,000 per campus, that's your base operation to be able to get the staff.
Right, and then if you double the amount of students that's listed in your proposal here, then what would that bring the cost up to?
So I think in that 500, we're serving currently K through 5 at one building. So if we're splitting that K through 5, we would have 500 at Tenney and 500 at Lenny Roberts. Does that make sense? So it would be, yes, more than 120, but it wouldn't jump up to 500 per campus.
No, I was thinking 500, I was thinking like 200 or 250 kids. That's double the 120, but those 250 are gonna be split into campuses. That's more like 100.
You can base this on a formula, staff member to a student ratio, so approximately 20, which is what we try to strive for, 20, approximately $20,000 per each time you add another 20.
Okay.
And it's, your baseline is efficiency part of it, you have to get more students come. Based on the survey that was conducted, based on our experience of doing this in multiple other school districts, 120 to 140 is roughly where you start at, and that's been our experience in similar size school districts and some other school campuses.
So what if kids wanted to be in it that were at Cherry, they could be bused over to Lenny Roberts, or they wouldn't have the opportunity, or how would they participate?
Yeah, but again, we work hand in hand with the school campus, so it's really up to the principals, superintendents, not to say we will do busing, or we will choose to just keep it isolated to the respective middle schools. We suggested the two because they're elementary schools, and we know that there's a lot of success with that because the need is there. Parents, families need this care during after school time, is we're able to provide that. The other strategy that we think of in terms of the start to really build up, then in a few years, you're going to look at the junior high and say, hey, this is what's next because those core groups have gone through and they're going to want the program.
How much are we spending, Dr. Scott or maybe Rick, to keep the Pierce building open? To serve the Boys and Girls Club, electric, do we pay all that, insurance on the building? Great.
We pay for the property insurance, as far as the other costs that Boys and Girls Club pay, all we have to call it. All we do is pay the property insurance.
Yeah, that number.
Not specifically.
Last week, how much we can on those, and I thought, we said that it's no out-of-pocket cost, so it was minimal that we were paying on those.
But we actually, the district does insure the building for windstorm, and so we do own the building.
But insurance on.
Yes, yes, ma'am. That's a correct statement.
But I'm back to the 250,000. Right now, I think all of it, to me, I would have to digest that. I think we just need to take all of this information that you've given us, and we need to digest that, because right now, our plate is so full with other projects, and I cannot even think of us even consider with everything else we have. the food that's just given to us. We have the homes that we have on our place. We are talking many rocks, we are talking, all of these things, and now this, I'm wondering, Rick, which hat are we gonna pull money out of to even think that we can bring something else on it? Why is it an urgency that we have to even consider something tonight? I think we just need to take this information and say, okay, let us take what you have and talk about it and get back with you. It's not, I don't want you to make a decision. I don't want you not $250,000 first year. That's a lot of money. And I don't know what we can do for money to even.
Yes, I have a question that maybe y'all can provide some light on. So the 250 per campus, that would be 500 for both campuses. What would be the school district? Is there, you said it's shared, so the Boys and Girls Club, Bay City, Matagorda would be providing some, and then the district would be providing some. What would that breakup look like? So are you asking for 400 from the district? What is that?
So
What does that look like?
keep in mind, it's a collaboration between public and private, if you will. So it's a great example we have on, we've done in many other locations. And so it is for two campuses, if that's the decision by the school district, then that it would be a total of approximately $500,000. Boys and Girls Club of Bay City, Matagorda County already has revenue that they generate.
And yes, and it's a great program, and I've seen it work on the school campus, and it is awesome. It really does work. I've seen it work. I've been at the school district and I've seen it. It does work. But with us in the position that we are right now in the district, if we're going to say that we're going to give $250,000 to a program, I would much rather give $250,000 to a teacher's salary than to try to give it to another program. That's where I am right now.
We have
We're
several
talking
million,
about money.
250,000.
So I guess to two different buildings, to two different things. These are her-
That's what I'm asking the question for clarification,
We don't even know.
to ask what our portion as the school district would be, because I know the Boys and Girls Club has a budget, so are they gonna be giving?
They're gonna tell us, and I know they.
But can he answer my question real quick?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So they have a budget already in revenue, so they would move off of the existing site that they're on and start utilizing those same resources to help support this $500,000 approximate budget. So the annual budget is running approximately 350,000. Is that
from 300 to 400,000?
so? Knowing that, and the balance will help be covered by the basic.
Zero, give us a zero.
Well, then, as y'all are considering this, you don't have to do 5 campuses or 3 campuses or 2 campuses. You can also consider 1 campus. The point here is that we have a program that is something that the kids can benefit from, and it's something that the board of directors for Boys and Girls Club Bay City, Matagorda County is interested in doing and partnering. We have, just like you all, we have assets and facilities too that we lease and we have to upkeep. And the idea is that you want to leverage your resources that you have available to the greatest benefit possible for the communities that we live in. So it's all about being intentional about how we move out and how fast we move out, how many we can do. I guarantee you talk to the principals of school, at least 4 out of 5 are going to say, yes, I want it right now. We know we can't do that. That's why we're proposing something as a baseline of just 2. We also know from experience that at the elementary level is where it works well first. Then we go from there.
How do you structure the agreement? Is it annualized? Not that I'm wanting now clause, but what if it doesn't work? What if it's not successful? What's the exit strategy?
We have a memorandum of understanding with the school district that is annualized. Again, issues to deal with. And then there's another agreement that's placed with each principal in our organization as well. Because the idea is that we're utilizing existing space there. So we want to make sure same rules, same house, got to make sure that we're following that as well. So the conversation that takes place is we're going to use this cafeteria, library, and 3 classrooms plus outside. Great, that's the agreement principals make with our organization. So all that's on an annual basis. You may discover that, that there's a new class and that we're going to take that one away, we'll go to something else. That's fine. And then we'll go.
Sorry. Minus 1,000 miles an hour. There's a runway that you're going to need to achieve fall 2022 opening. So what's your drop dead? You need a decision to do that.
Well, I think our Bay City Club is prepared to be able to serve in the summer. We would love to, this is going to be under consideration to start planning, as soon as possible to get ready for the fall. To make sure we engage the families, make sure the whichever school sites that we would be on, we could get up to speed and prepared to be able to serve young people in that way. So, you would like, at least 3-month runway to be able to get to that.
What percentage of the kids are low income that are served through Boys and Girls Club? Is it pretty close to 100%?
Yes.
So to just say we can't spend money and not take care of those kids, if the Boys and Girls Club can't operate past the summer, I mean, that's our responsibility to make sure that all of our students get the help they need. Now, to Trustee Robinson's point, we're in a budgeting crisis here. How many students could one campus serve? And if we did one campus to start with, could the Boys and Girls Club run one campus with minimal dollars from the district if we did some busing to get the kids where they needed to be? And then potentially expand on the program in the future as we see the success, because we know it's going to be successful, to where we eventually hopefully get it on all 3 campuses. And there could be some cost sharing if that's what the board decided to do.
I have a comment about busing children from day one, so to speak. We opened our doors on November 15th, 2010. And we have bus service from King Clint Roberts and the junior high for a number of years. Well, it's well known that nationwide there's a shortage of bus drivers. So that one of the challenges we're facing right now is that our kids get to us late enough in the day. We don't have much time at all after they get their snack. That's the first thing they do, to put them in a classroom and deliver one of our programs before mama's out front calling for the stop. Right, they're going home. So when this opportunity to, number one, share resources, which is always worth considering. None of us can afford to waste resources. I saw an opportunity to be able to serve more kids and serve them more effectively because, and we went over to Houston and saw this operation at Houseman Elementary in the Spring Branch ISD district. And we were there right at the time of school bell rang in the day, and all the whole Boys and Girls Club kids lined up and they went on to their program spaces. And so there really wasn't any downtime, no issues of behavior on buses. So it really has a lot of merit. And I think the best thing we can think about for tonight is let's put together a task force to sit down and work out these numbers. What can we bring to the table? What can the district bring to the table? Do we start on 2 campuses or on the 1? If we have to bus, that's still going to be an interruption in the afternoon program, because you've got kids already doing things and you're done kids from the other schools. So I know this is a new concept and I know that budgets is tight for the district, but we see this as a way for us to impact more kids, improve on our sustainability, and really do more meaningful programming than we're able to do now.
Everybody's looking at me right now. So I'm gonna look around this question.
First of all, thank you all for the presentation. I will tell you that I am a supporter of the Boys and Girls Club. I'm actually a supporter of the shared space model. I will not, this is our last resort, support or recommend support that you do the transportation piece. Kids getting lost, I mean, all the other things. The shared space model kind of alleviates kids having to travel. Absent of the funding piece, I just would want to hear from the board. Do you agree with the concept? So if everyone on the board agrees with the concept, and then what Boys and Girls Club will offer to our kids, that's a yes. If that's a yes, then we just need to figure out a way to pay for this. Start at one campus, I would say do that campus, and say we pick Roberts. Let's just start with the first and second grades. That's not plus third, fourth, and fifth grade is over. We start with 2, same model. Conceptually, though, I've seen this work. It adds to, it's an assistance to us for some of the things that we've said around this board table and talking about. We're talking about building leadership skills. We're talking about being, developing responsible citizenship. Some things that we, quite honestly, we try to teach during school, but in the midst of ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and academic requirements that we actually have because of state mandates and all these other things, then this would just be another resource for us, another resource and support for us to actually have to help with some of the academic pieces for support, but then some of the non-academic pieces as well. Just my 2 cents in it. I do believe that the concept is worth sitting down and having a conversation about as we move into the budget season. I do want to acknowledge trustees Robertson's comments. We do have a lot of expenses on the table, but some expenses are worth paying for now. So you're not paying for them later. Take whatever you want to take from that. If you don't, build. What's the saying? If you don't develop or grow strong, responsible children, then we're going to have to prepare for those. Something of that nature. I know I messed it up, but something. I truly believe in the program. So absent of the money pieces, I think that we may be able to figure that part out with the shared responsibility. And I know we have some very fiscally responsible board members. Just want to know the numbers. Like, what are we going to be responsible for as a district every single year? And once we get that piece, then at the end of the year, we need that to your point. I'm sorry, Trustee Murray, to your point, then we'll figure out if it's a good return on our investment.
For me, I agree with everything Dr. Scott said. I think the services that Boys and Girls Club provides serves our students in our community. Some parts better than what we're doing right now. I think the kids that we're serving at Boys and Girls Club, looking at those students and the programs that are already happening at Pierce, I think are well worth looking into this and sitting down and really digging in to figure out what can we do and how can we make it work. Because what we're really talking about is, let's talk about a 3 to 5 year plan. What do we want in 3 to 5 years? And all these things that Boys and Girls Club offers is the student that we want to be able to propel forward into the next grade level. And it just comes behind and bolsters that. And it continues to bolster those conversations we have here. How else can we help our students succeed? It's not just about the academic, but it's social and emotional. It's all of the things that were talked about at the beginning, that students come to the classroom with all kinds of things that have happened at home. And we need to be able to service those. And if we can't do it in the school day, then this is a perfect opportunity to partner with another organization to be able to help us do that better. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I would love to sit at the table and figure out how to make this happen.
I do not want anyone to leave here saying that I did not agree that Boys and Girls Club is not good. I've seen this program work, this model work. I've seen it. And the place that I saw it was in Sweden. And I saw the transition of those kids where they didn't have to be bussed in. And it worked well. I saw it. What I'm saying to you is that I don't see us financially able to do that right now. I know the program works. I've seen the kids from Boys and Girls Club. I work for Boys and Girls Club. I know the program works. So don't walk out of here saying Priscilla didn't believe in the program. I know the program works. I believe it works. So I want you to know that and know that I know what you have to offer in that program. So I want you to know that I just want to know where the money is coming from. I know where we are financially, and I know right now we are up here for things that we are responsible for as a board. And I want to make sure before we commit that we are able to take care of those things. So I want you to know that and take that for what it is. I do believe in what you're doing, and I want the best for our kids. I am a true educator and passionate to the heart. So take that and understand where my heart is. And I said it.
So one thing, Kevin, President, can you all speak to how some of the other school districts fund their programs, title funds?
Yeah, we have some districts that utilize Title dollars, Title $1 to help support the message from the chairman around the students enrolled in classifications, so that they're able to do that. It falls in line with the college and career ready. It falls in line with the additional tutoring and services that need to happen to help kids get apart. As of right now, there are additional dollars that the TEA has put out in terms of the COVID learning loss. So those dollars are also available to directly support it after school and or support from the day after school. There's a, different ways that can be put together. One of the things about Boys and Girls Club that is unique is that primarily the students that we are serving are people students, and so they will qualify for those additional resources or qualify for the resources that the school has to support their students.
We put together a task force for the district to explore these funding sources if we don't already have it coming in. And the Boys and Girls Club to put together, a budget, and for you folks to put together operating costs for us, somebody in the board, Jill, you want to do, somebody else wants to do. And all sit together in the same room and talk about how we can make this work without, bankrupting the district.
Yeah, and I think that's the next step is to do a task force of some sort to really scrub it down and figure out how we do it.
We don't need a motion.
Readiness.
Yeah, we don't need a motion for that. I understand. Do some work on it, and then we'll bring it back if we can get done pretty quick, if we can get the information to all the board members and get all their questions answered. We can put it on the March agenda potentially again and talk about it.
Is there anyone else on the board that wants to serve on that task force?
Room for one more before we get to a forum. All right, I think you guys got it. Very good, thank you for your service.
But you serve on both, because I think on this one, you also Boys and Girls Club. Is that not a conflict when you do both?
It's just an exploration.
Yeah, it's just a task force, so I don't think there's anything that's.
Right now, I'm thinking, yeah, good decision making, right?
We're not making decisions. We're just getting things together.
Any other questions?
And I'm happy to step back and let Matt do it if you would prefer that.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time and thank you for coming to visit us.
Thank you all.
Okay, last item of business, before we get into our business, which is our business, item 5B, possible action on superintendent's contract of employment. This item may be taken in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code section 551.074. Personnel matters, if necessary, we will go into closed session, and we meet every year to discuss the superintendent contract in January, February, and so we will enter closed session at 7:09 p.m. will now enter back into open session. Item B, possible action on superintendent's contract employment. Is there a motion to be made? Hearing no motion, now it will be tabled until next month's agenda. Item 6, Lone Star Governance. A, B, C, and D. We've taken Mr. Tony with. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Good to see y'all again.
Glad to have you back.
It's good to be here. We had a really good meeting with the leadership team tonight, so. Just looking back to last month, January 18th, we had 226 minutes of meeting. There was 107 of those minutes that we counted towards student outcomes. So 47%. It's close, but not at goal yet. So we want to talk about that just a little bit. But when we met this month, with the leadership team, we looked at 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. And so those were the areas that we're going to focus on tonight. And so just looking at our goal, the folder that's in front of you there has a copy of this, but you also got it electronically. So the goal 1 is to increase the percent of third grade students that score means grade level or above on STAR reading from 27 to 49% by August 2024. And so those are this is your goal as a board. And so we had these 3 goal progress measures. So the first one is to the percentage of kinder students who score means grade level or above on the M-class reading assessment increased from 35 to 55% by August 2022. So you see the results there. And so I'm going to have this appendix come up. And what I wanted to do is just to kind of front load this a little bit. I asked her, even though we don't have a goal progress measure for pre-K, she shared with me some of the results that she's had from a pre-K class. And as you know, the pandemic hurt these little ones a lot because they were home for a while. And you know, for the little ones especially, that had a big impact. And so the teachers at her campus have had to go back hard to try to help prepare. So I think you'll enjoy it. I asked her to present the data that she shared with me on pre-K as well. So Ms. Pitt.
Good evening. So we are just trying to kind of make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable at Cherry Elementary for the goals that we do have for increasing what our kiddos are able to do to accomplish this goal number 1 for our third graders. So in the folder that Mr. Williams gave to you, I actually have a little debrief sheet that I'm going to go over with you guys to just kind of outline some of our rationale and the concerns that we have for the data and how we're going to be moving forward and what our plan of action is to make sure that we're able to recoup some of the learning loss that we have had for our little kiddos. So basically, to put it all out there, the kindergarten and class data from our middle of year assessment does fall short of our Lone Star governance goals. Some of the things, we've had some very pointed conversations in our professional learning committees talking about what we can attribute some of these concerns to. 111 of our 242 kindergartners did not go to school prior to this school year. They were not in pre-K, they were not in a structured learning environment. And so for a lot of our kiddos as kindergartners, this is their very first experience in a structured learning environment outside of the home. So that's something to really take into consideration due to the exposure and the opportunity for that academic instruction for the kids to receive. Additionally, because our kindergarten beginning of the year scores are relatively low, for example, one of our letter sound goals is to have 9 letter sounds at the beginning of the year, jumps to 25 at middle of the year. So there's a lot of growth that needs to take place in that short amount of time, and that fall semester is it's our shorter amount of time for learning. Specifically phonemic awareness, which is the ability to identify and manipulate those sounds. So not only knowing that CAT spells cat, but cat is how you pronounce it. that goal goes from 5 to 29. So there's a lot of growth that takes place in that short amount of time. Whereas in the spring, we have more actual academic time to make up for some of that lost ground. So we've had a lot of conversations with our teachers in team leader meetings to figure out what is it that we need to do to hone in on what's going well, what strategies our teachers are using that are effective. We're very excited about, we've just had training today on how we can use a camera to record really powerful teaching strategies in the classrooms and then use those as teachable moments to say, teacher B, we can give you this idea of going to visit this classroom where we can show you this really powerful teaching mechanism. This is how this teacher is getting these scores, and giving them those opportunities to learn from their colleagues in that professional learning community. Also, a lot of the assessments are timed. So for our kindergarten kiddos, they may know a lot more information, but when you add that time constraint, that does make it very difficult to feel that at that young age, we have 5-year-olds who realize, oh my gosh, there's a time ticking away, and what am I going to be able to teach or to show my teacher that I know in that amount of time. Also, from data subpopulations, we did have disproportionate numbers of kiddos from certain populations withdraw from our community. And when we did a really in-depth look at where those kiddos were falling, we did find that a lot of the students who were withdrawn from our school district in those grade levels did fall on certain socioeconomic and racial ethnicity subpopulations. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. Also, our kindergarten paraprofessionals are also pulled to cover other staffing concerns that we have on our campus. We do have a ratio that we have to meet for our pre-kindergartners of 11 students to 1 adult. So a class of 22 pre-kindergartners has to have 2 teaching staff members, either a paraprofessional and a teacher, 2 paraprofessionals, so on and so forth. And so that does limit, to some degree, what our kindergarten teachers are doing with pulling small groups. So that's something that we've really had to work around to figure out how do we make sure that that is a priority, that our teachers and our paraprofessionals have those times to pull those small groups, and how do we make that the most meaningful. So then we have to figure out what are we going to do to overcome the deficit that we already haven't met at mid-year. So we have done a lot to make sure that our teachers understand what their data shows, and we are figuring out how we can make sure that we have some progress measures in place for the rest of our spring semester to make sure that we're able to get them where they need to be. So we have data talks in our PLCs where individual data is shown. So it has all of our teachers and the number of individuals that they have in the developing, the approaches, the needs, and the master subcategories to really look and say, not only introspectively to say, these are where I feel that my own shortcomings are, but I see that my colleague next door to me doesn't have some of these concerns. We have the same kids. What is it that that teacher may be doing differently? It really shares some of that wealth as far as the knowledge and experience of our staff. I think that that's one of the huge benefits that we have in our alignment is that all of our professionals for a certain age group are within, I'm not good at justifying measurement, but half of a classroom, distance or building away from having the very best knowledge that we have in Bay City ISD. We need to tap into that to figure out how to do that. Also, the justification and the ownership that goal 1 of where our kiddos are in 3rd grade belongs to Cherry Elementary, belongs to Lenny Roberts. And we understand that what we are able to give our kiddos in kindergarten is only going to be built upon when they get to 1st, 2nd, and ultimately to 3rd grade. And then additionally, we have calendared, like I said, what those progress measures are going to be for the remainder of the spring to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable, that is represented in our lesson plans in kindergarten, that our teachers are saying for this group of children in, we'll call it group A. This is the skill that we're working on because this is where this group of kids is. And that's what's really great about M-Class is we can really hone in on very, very unique skills to make sure that we're teaching the kids exactly what the next step is that they're missing. And that's a huge benefit. So that's everything that I have for our goal progress measure for where we are in kindergarten. And then how many questions about what our plan is and how we're going to recoup
I think you answered a lot of the questions. Thank you for showing that we had 9 and it went to 25, 5. Because looking at this, I'm thinking, what happened? But that is a great explanation. So I
And this
appreciate that
doesn't, I mean,
information.
I want you guys to see this as rationale, that this is not, none of our teachers are happy with this data.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that you guys are aware of what our plans are moving forward and just what goal that was to overcome. What I will also say is the goal from middle of year to end of year is not that statistically significant compared to the beginning of year to middle of year. So that's also comforting to know that there's not the same hurdle to overcome again from middle of year to end of year. That does fluctuate. But we have really good news. So our new program that we have in kindergarten or pre-kindergarten is called Feeling Brains. When we did our assessment, when an assessment was done at the end of last year with the outgoing kindergartners, they had never done Feeling Brains learning instruction, right brain, left brain type of learning. So we have the data. So if you flip actually over, you can see I just so we have met with Dr. Kareem, who is the leader of the Feeling Brains, who's the CEO of the organization, and Dr. Carlos. There are 12 districts utilizing Feeling Brains across the state. They serve over 15,000 students, and Bay City ISD and Goose Creek of those districts are currently leading the pack with student growth. So when we look at what it is that we're doing in our classrooms for pre-kindergartners and putting forth kindergarten-ready learners, which is something that was very difficult last year, just think about what pre-kindergarten looks like virtually, 4-year-olds. I can't even imagine, I was not on the campus, and it just sounds like it would have been a very daunting task for our teachers to overcome. And so to know that we are making that type of growth is really exciting. So on the back side, these are some things that we're doing to make sure that we are keeping up with the growth of our pre-kindergartners to produce kindergarten-ready learners for next year's assessments also, because we want to make sure that we are writing that path. So teachers are keeping track of executive functions. There are actually 3 of these posters, but what you will see here is that almost all of our teachers are completely through that first poster and are working really diligently on creating those executive function skills. So when we're talking about executive functions, it's how do we control our inhibitory senses? How do we behave at school? How do we transfer learning that we have in the classroom to new things? And then how do we basically conceptualize that and apply it to new learning? So being able to do that, what you see here in the middle of the page is our beginning of year data to middle of year data. So if you look at the beginning of the year, we had 77% of pre-kindergartners who were functioning in a developing brain. 77% of kids basically, when you think about Maslow's hierarchy, like the bottom of like the basic fundamental needs that you have to have before you're able to build on their learning, 77% of our kids didn't have the foundation. So in order for us to train our kiddos up and help them to understand how do you be successful in school, we have now changed that number from 77% to 26% at mid-year. So when you look at now this pie chart down below, this was the data that we had from end of year last year. This is our end of year pre-K data that shows that really at the end of the year last year, we weren't very far off from our beginning of year data this year. So we're really, really optimistic that the programs that we're implementing with Feeling Brains are really going to positively influence the learning that we're able to provide these children, because we're giving them the foundational skills that they need instead of putting too much academic influence on them too quickly. Now, of course, there are still skills that we have expectations through our pre-kindergarten guidelines that we have an expectation that they will fulfill. But before doing that is almost kind of like the running before you walk type of thing. We want to make sure that our kiddos are set up for success. So all of this kind of paints the picture that we are, that our current pre-kindergarten students should far surpass our current kindergarten students in regards to their kindergarten readiness for the 22-23 school year. So all of this to say, we know that our data does stand for improvement. We know that the administration and the staff of our school does commit to raising these student outcomes and making sure that our spring data is very intentional in how we are meeting those goals, and we look forward to showing you guys the growth that we have in March, and wishing you what we have to show you. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
No, so I have a question. So do you feel like what you're seeing with kinder and pre-K right now is predictive that they'll be able to achieve their goal?
I am. I've had a lot of conversations with teachers, and of course, this is my first year on this campus, so I have not seen what this progression of growth looks like, and when I see the data, I was like, oh my gosh, what are we here to, like, what is our justification for how we are where we are? And I'm like, oh, we're gonna get there. I'm like, great. We are, I know we are, but how? And what are we going to do intentionally to make sure that we get them there? But I do feel confident that putting these plans in place to make sure that we set and are firm with these benchmarks along the way, that there is not this, okay, well, we're going to do all of this intervention, and then from the beginning of your middle of the year, we're going to cross our fingers and hope that we've made that progress. We need to have in place some progress monitoring and really being consistent in it's calendared, you have 3 days to get it done, and then this is where we're going to base our next benchmark on what next set of skills does this group A, group B, group C, group D need in my class to get them progressing to where they need to be for our energy. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we and I know Dr. Scott feels the same way, but when we looked at the kindergarten data, she was so disappointed in us. But we had already talked about the pre-K. I said, well, and she was worried that it would sound like an excuse. So no, it's not an excuse. It's you. The board wants to know where they are right now, and then what you're doing to bring them up. You're doing a lot of work there. Sure, proud of that. So the next area is goal progress measure 1.2 and 1.3. And this is the percentage of first grade students who score meets grade level or above on in-class reading assessment will increase from 26% to 46% by August of 2022. And then we go to second grade with 1.3. And so to present our current data that you see in your monitoring report on these two GPMs is going to be Mrs. Lindell. So,
I wore that same color bow. So chair.
I told my fellow compadres that I was going to talk for about an hour so that we can meet our minutes. From the keynote gallery. What do you not say? I'm talking too much.
it's over.
All right, good evening. That's a hard act to follow. You did a great job, Ms. Phoenix, for sure. So I wanted to share with you what our update is at Lindy Roberts. And like Ms. Phoenix said, M-Class is really a great tool. It's a unique assessment, but it's just hard to justify the different gaps from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year because the growth measure is so expanding. And so then we go from the middle of the year to the end of the year. We have almost about 4 more weeks in the spring. And so then that also is attributed to the smaller growth between the middle of the year to the end of the year. So the indicators in class is just it's such a big jump from beginning to middle, and then luckily there we have more ground to catch up this semester. So just looking at it, we did only go up in first grade from 26 to 29% in all of our subgroups. And like she said, we did also have an increase in enrollment. I think Ms. Walmer, we said about 30 kids additional from last year to this time. So we are seeing the attendance go up. And anyways, and we start looking at different sub-pops. Something I really wanted to highlight is definitely the special ed. We've gone from 7% to 30% of those students that are meeting approaches, which is something that we really, really worked hard for. We did have a decline in our ESL kids. Some of that we're attributing to the fact that we don't have enough support for some of our Spanish students. So the district did approve for me to hire another bilingual para to help support that aspect. Sorry, I get nervous up here.
Your economically disadvantaged went up 10%.
It did. And then, and we'll talk about second grade in just a second. And a few things that I put in front of you is the student folders. What I want you to realize is these students are tracking their folders every week. Every time we have a progress monitoring, every time we do any of our in-class, there's some there. I gave you 3 different teachers to look at, just so you didn't see just one classroom. But it's amazing to see that the students are really looking at this data. They're putting it into their hands. The teachers are having private conversations with the students. Before the teachers before the students took the middle of the year test, the middle of the year assessment, when I was doing my walkthroughs, the teacher was physically sitting there with the kids saying, hey, this is what you scored, this is your goal, and was pumping the students up before they took the assessment, which I was very proud to see the teachers do. I do want to commend Dr. Scott and Ms. Moya and Ms. Wagner for always giving us the materials we need. So we have small group going on in all of our classrooms, but whenever we need something, they never say no. She actually challenged, told me no principals ever spend all their budget, so challenge accepted. But anyways, I'm going to leave this straight at us. Our paras are doing intervention. Our PE teacher, our PEA, our librarian, we have taken a 100% shared accountability at Lindy Roberts. Everyone is working extra time. The paras are even planning their own lessons for the interventions. They're told which skill we're working on, and then they take it from there. So we just got in a huge order for our paras. They built their own library of needs that they know the students need. So it's awesome to see that shared accountability. We have taken the Band-Aid off all this data. So when we presented this data at our PLT 2 weeks ago, we actually, Mr. Gardner, who is at Tinny Homes, he's phenomenal. He helped us come up with a formula to see how our teachers would rate if we did the A through F accountability system that the other campuses have to. We ripped that Band-Aid off, and I think we have such a great culture and climate on our campus. The teachers are very receptive. It wasn't like they were ready to throw tomatoes out or anything. But we really, truly looked at it, and we looked at growth and said, guys, our growth rate, if we were to look at STAR scores, like the Phonemic Awareness, was at 64%. I'm not okay with the headlines of newspaper reading, Lindy Roberts gets a D for growth. That's not acceptable. So each teacher, we went through with a for score. There were a few tiers, but guess what? That weekend, they were emailing me, sending me texts, asking me to go look at their lesson plans. They took that ship very quickly and ran with it. So even though it is a shared accountability, every single person knows what we have to do. Our teachers are invested. They're working with our own facilitators. They're going over to Tinny Homes. They're shadowing the 3rd grade teachers, so they know the level of accountability, the level that we have to make sure we raise to. They're going to a STAR PE at Region 3 in a couple of weeks. We're sending some 2nd grade teachers, so they're seeing the verbiage, they're seeing the vocabulary. We need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to send our babies to Tinny Homes. So also with the teachers in 1st grade, that we're looking at currently. Sorry. 2 of those teachers. So 2 of those teachers in 1st grade on these goals had over 92% growth. And so what we're doing now is 92% is amazing from the beginning to middle. What are they doing? How can we, replicate it? And so we're sending our teachers in there on their own time, not on their own time, but strategically to see the different groups. Because we've broken their data down to see if it's the non-6 words that have been well on phonemic awareness. We're strategically sending on when the teacher's doing that so they can see how the teacher is teaching them. And so we're super proud to be able to highlight, if they say your best PD is right down the hall, that is true at Lindy Roberts for sure. So our gap from the beginning to the middle has been a focus of Tier 3 kids. That's what our intervention has been focused around. After school tutorials has been focused around Tier 3. So when you look at the data that you don't see up here is in 1st grade, we had 50% in the middle of the year that were considered well below, 50% at approaches, 29 at meets, 11 at masters. So if we can get that 50% of approaches it's a pull up model. We're not trying to push from the bottom, we're trying to pull everyone up. So really and truly, we know that this goal is realistic and that we can get there. That's just our first grade.
You mentioned something about, it's kind of an interesting concept that you're having the kids track their own results. Do you think that makes a difference?
Yes, absolutely, because they're in there, they know what green, they know what the yellow, they know what the red represents. And so they definitely know, and they even, they'll go to lunch or somewhere and they'll have little tags on, ask me about my goal or whatnot. And then we're having a parade on Friday where all the kids took a specific skill and is showing their growth in it. So the kids are super excited about being able to show everyone where they've grown.
Yeah, that is a really good strategy. There's the districts I've observed for doing that. They're having really great results. But they're going to attract people. And what do the kids want to know? What's my time? Is that my personal best? Is this, am I faster than I was last time? So it's like, it's transferring that into the classroom.
And we do, they have to bring their folders to PLTs every couple of weeks so that we make sure that they're staying on top of it. This isn't just a, all of a sudden we're doing this data folder. It is used with fidelity at Renee Roberts.
Personal accountability.
It is because it's all of our score. Whatever they get at 10 homes, we get. Like if something would have happened and TA had a spotlight on us, it's on all of us. It's not just on that campus. We're responsible for everything. So we definitely know that there's an urgency. We see the urgency and we're reacting to the urgency.
I love that you found your rock stars in specific areas, not just like she's a good teacher overall, but she's specifically good at this one thing and pairing them up with somebody that may need a little help in that area. And that person maybe will help the other rock star in that area and something else, I love how you're pulling all that together. And I 100% agree that Mr. Gardner is amazing.
He is phenomenal, but his wife's better than him. I wish she was here so I could brag, the hard work he's also doing, because it's a combined effort between anyone, but he just has a background. And he's
Most of those substances
Behind every good man, there's a great woman.
That is true. All right, so going on to our next goal.
Go back.
No, not one more, 3. That's so bad. See, I'm just buying time, right? All right, so now when we look at our second grade, you definitely see that there was still just a slight increase. So there is an increase is an increase, but again, we're not okay with that, and that's not where we want to be. So we did have the shift, and like if you saw in the first grade, it kind of was odd how some of the shifts, went up or down, but anyways, one thing I do want to highlight on this one that is amazing is again that special education and economically disadvantaged. And our ELs went down. I'm not okay with our ELs going down. And again, I contribute part of that is we try to hire bilingual teachers. Ms. Ballmer does everything in the world to try to find us highly qualified bilingual teachers. They're not coming here. There's bonuses, there's sign-on incentives. So my 2 teachers in second grade are ESL teachers. They don't speak any English. And so I have more and more students coming in reading Spanish. I have new students that are coming in that don't speak any English. So again, I'm trying to hire another bilingual para to be able to support and get the ratio of students to teachers and paras lower than what it currently is. So as soon as we can find someone, we're definitely going to throw in, because right now it's 4 classes to 1 para, and it's just not enough for the support they need. So, and then also, we do know that after school tutorials, we're going to have our bilingual para staying as well to help support so we can. But with these numbers, I'm not okay with sending this to 10 homes. Therefore, I did hire a tutor that started as soon as we came back. As soon as I saw the date and everything, we did hire a retired teacher that's highly qualified, reading specialist. She's been phenomenal. She's come on. She is focusing on the tier 3 kids in second grade. So that's all she's working with is the tier 3. But this is where we have to change our focus this semester. We have to change our focus on the bubble, because again, in second grade, 43% of those kids are right there at being at needs. We've got to be able to shift our focus. So tutorials the first semester, focus on tier 3. the tutorials for this semester are focusing on our bubble kids, the ones that are kind of, the high red or the low green, and then all of the yellow students. So we want to get those approaches to meets. And like I said, 40%, it's very doable, but we want to keep pulling all the kids up to masters meets for sure. And so again, the interventions are working. We're having RTI meetings. We have RTI meetings in the fall. We have RTI meetings next week. It's a shared accountability. We have the sped teacher intervention. Everyone is in there to help make the best decisions and to make sure we're meeting the needs of our students. And I think just having the teachers buy in and perspective and want to do better is a huge reflection of the work they're doing, because they are definitely going above and beyond. It was hard. These kids from last year, you have to think about it. We were on Chromebooks for about a year. So the kids coming up from kindergarten to first grade, and Miss Penny's, we've had conversations about this. We did so much stuff on Chromebooks last year. They didn't have to do fine motor because we were all socially distant. It wasn't until the spring semester that we really got to get back into the groove of things. So we are having to fill a bunch of gaps, but it's definitely seeing improvement. And I think it's great that we have open communication on what we need help with for kindergarten and what, we just need to improve on. So, any questions?
I think y'all are doing a fantastic job. And I think having students take ownership there on so many levels, that is huge, because it starts in first grade, and then now you're creating, just like in pre-K, you're creating this pattern that is the standard. And so it's just going to keep moving up, and I love that they're taking that ownership, because then they can go home and tell their mom and dad, hey, I did this today, and their parent gets excited, which then their parent now wants to be involved. So I think it's just a big cycle that y'all are doing a great job. So
It is, and the data is hard. The thing I tell them, it's real. Data is one, you can't make up data. So you have to be reflective, and we have to just take ownership and keep moving forward. That's all we can do, is just keep making sure that our students are being successful. So I commend all the staff for definitely going above and spending extra time to plan for these new interventions.
Thank you for having us to your campus for board appreciation. It was awesome to come in and see the kids and how excited they were. And they gave us goodie baskets and all that
And
stuff.
how quiet they were.
They're so
Yeah.
quiet.
And to have the parents there to experience that, I think is extremely important. I'm glad we opened that back up. So I hope to see a lot more of that.
Okay. Any other questions? Now I'm comfortable. Now I can keep going. I'm just kidding. I heard the Skittles were.
Y'all could be here during those meetings with the principals and
Well done.
excited. They get so fired up. They're really passionate about what
They're doing that data parade on Friday outside. And if y'all have it, I think 30 minutes is what the calendar says. I'm like, you should make it. If you can be there, it is something to go and see. So I would encourage board members to go.
It's nice. Thank you very much. Ms. Penix, Ms. Little, thank you for all the extra effort you put into that, and letting the board know the things that you're doing to help to get them forward. That's awesome. So just a couple of other things that I thought I put on the agenda to discuss. When it comes to organizing to get broad community workshop, we had a really good discussion last week in my Lone Star government. Every month we have a coaches meeting. There's 28 of us in the state of Texas that are Lone Star discussion. So we talked about how do you get broad community ownership? How do you define it? And right now it's happening in a place called the Soto, right? And so we heard AJ talk about what he's doing, and what the board members are going to get. And I would just say this to you guys, and I would encourage you to try to hook yourself to one of the campuses and go out and do it with a principal, or especially with Dr. Scott, if you and that way you've got some support, because it's going to be hard. You're going to get asked questions when you're in front of people that you don't know the answer to, because you don't work. You come and a lot about that you don't what facts are. So it's good to have that support. And I want to offer to all of you too that if you want help, prepare. We've got a document together. I can come out, or I can get on Zoom with Dr. Scott and one of you, and we can help you prepare for a 5-10 minute little presentation you might have a parent do or something. That's just a way to get that synergy started, to get the message out there in public. But it's when, I think when you really get rolling, it's when you get the community involved, and just the whole tenor of this meeting at the beginning was so positive. I tell you, I'd like to hear those 3 people talk again. That was awesome to hear public comments. One other thing that I wanted to commend y'all on is organizing the meeting tonight to try to optimize your time. I got a call and we were trying to look into, you were questioning, James, the time on the Boys Club, Girls Club presentation, which that's 100% your job as board president. You know, try to look at, not that you didn't want it to be presented, but you were trying to look at how much time we're going to take on this, you know, what's going to be our priority at the meeting. And so that was good. That was certainly a good presentation to have. So as you look back at this meeting, what do you think that you could do to trim your time down on things that don't count towards student outcomes? What could you do for next month?
So we didn't get some of that Boys and Girls Club presentation. They didn't send their slides over till today. So if we had their slides ahead of time, we could ask questions ahead of time. But I don't know that conversation was too long.
And the closed session time doesn't
count against us. And the public comments don't count against us.
Well, yeah, they can.
Public comments? I thought you said it did.
No, they can. If they're related to something that we're talking about, they don't, they count. But yeah, you know, that kind of time counts.
So will there make a couple public comments? I mean, not saying to do the wrong thing, but we can just shut them off in 3 minutes, or.
No, we felt like, you know, you need to give them their voice, but then how do you?
But no, I thought James was very, that was really good. What he did. Those comments were awesome, and those didn't take away. What was that, 10 minutes? That's not a big deal. That's, you want to encourage the public to be involved. So, but and also just continuing to look for things that you can put on the consent agenda. Yeah, you know, that's awesome. Y'all are doing good, and Dr. Scott and I have been talking about some board training, you know, because part of this is to provide the board training for you. We do have a board leadership conference coming up on the 18th of May. We're trying to really make this a dynamite board training. We're going to have a new board member training that day. We have got, I suggested and they went for it. We're going to have a board presidents session. I don't think I've ever seen one of those at one of our May meetings, but we want all the board presidents in the region to come together and kind of learn from each other. We're going to have a forum for that. We're also going to have a Lone Star governance section. So if you're interested in being on a panel for that, Morris Lyon is going to be the person that's going to facilitate that discussion. And interested individuals from around the region are going to come and listen to that. So if you want to talk about your experiences with other board members, let me know, and I can make sure that you get on that panel. We have 5 districts right now in the region that are involved in Lone Star governments, and 2 more looking to get involved. So it's a good process. It's a framework. It basically builds on your framework for board development. It's an important policy. So again, I can't tell you how much I look forward to coming to Bay City, Texas, because I love working with these people and I love working with y'all. So keep up the good work and look forward to the next one.
Awesome. We don't have any action on it.
Just to approve the monitoring report.
So we talked, I mean, you just touched on organizing to get brought from the just done.
Well, that's going to be something that you guys have to work on together.
Yeah.
And if you want support for how to organize it, or I can get some ideas together. We'll put together the 2-page document that has some notes that you can of a presentation from. But that's just going to largely be on y'all to kind of come up. I just keep it in front of them because I think that it's, I mean, when we do our evaluation.
Yeah, we got a quarter to get it done, so.
And when you talk about broad community ownership, we had a lot of questions from the coaches. Are you ever going to get broad, what is broad community ownership?
Right.
But we feel like in DeSoto, Texas, that it's happening. So I'm going to try to explore that a little bit more too. So.
Yeah, I would love to hear some ideas of how they're doing that and what they're doing.
Yeah.
If someone's doing it, it's working, let's work smarter or harder.
Well, they've had like, they have town halls.
Yeah.
And they'll have their, AJ goes and he participates in the town hall just as a consultant. But the board, you know, they'll have 2 or 3 board members there and the superintendent. They don't have a quorum, but they'll talk about it. They'll do town halls in different, that's a bigger town.
Right.
So they have it in different places in the district. And try to get people to come and talk about what's good, bad, and ugly about the district, and what they like, what they don't, what the board's trying to do to make it better.
Very good. Yeah, and just to brag on you, Tony, I was having a conversation with the board member at Aetna. And he was like, man, it's like, we just, the Lone Star Governors training, like, y'all should do it. And then the trainer was awesome. It was like, it was Tony, wasn't it? I told Tony we would. Yeah, we do. That's good. Yeah, we did that one at the hotel Contessa. Yeah, in San Antonio. Yeah, they wanted us to kind of.
Thank
All
you.
right. So whoever gave us these, thank you. Who's that? Any campuses or?
It was wonderful.
Well, I would say my children thank you because these things end up in my car and then they get in the car the next day and they're like, Dad, you're on a diet, right? You can go through this? Yes, go through it, but there's anything that's safe for me. So. All right. Yeah, item 7, adjournment, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion been made by trustee Westmoreland to adjourn, is there a second? Motion been seconded by trustee Murray, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.